Okay, my colleagues, we're going to open up for questions now. The first one on the list would be Mr. David Tom. Sir.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Hello, Naize. Also, hello, Honorable Shepherd. I only have one question for you. After we vote this down, are you going to bring it back up again? Same question. Thank you.
Okay. Tom, any other questions, my colleagues? None? Mr. Shepherd, sir?
Thank you, Speaker Pro Temp, Mr. Yazzie. Also, a simple question to Mr. Tom. You asked if this vote is voted down, that if I would bring it again. If matters continue, and I will continue to stand on my principles, and that every delegate has the right to introduce legislation. When the time comes, and the time is there for it, that we can address it in the same manner as we're doing right now. But for me, tomorrow's a new day. Today's today. We don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. So for me to promise or say anything that I said this, I can't give you a definite answer. But each one of us have the right to introduce legislation. Thank you, Speaker.
Thank you, Mr. Shepherd. Next on the list of questions, my colleagues would be Ms. Benally.
Thank you, Mr. Pro Tem Speaker, members of the Council. I want to go on record, since the sponsor himself said after the last vote, he told some of his colleagues. Indeed he did, and indeed he made some promises to some of our colleagues. And those colleagues did show me texts from Mr. Shepherd. The sponsor asked what he can promise or offer these individuals. If you stand on integrity, you yourself are buying votes. How much integrity is that? There's nothing integrity about that. And you mentioned that a lot of resources, financial resources of the Navajo Nation are being used. I know you went to extreme using legislative staff to get your legislations and whatever you have to do. So be careful in your charges. And today I still stand on the stance that this is driven and motivated by Joe Shirley. You were a staff of his, and he's a candidate. That's where this is coming from. The very day I made that charge, his chief of staff, Patrick Sandoval, gave me a note and asked to speak with me. The very same day, almost a very few minutes later. So there's I'm not one for deleting what's on Facebook. I don't even subscribe to it. But you make that sound like that's holier than the Holy Bible. That's wrong. That's his. Mr. Pro Temp Speaker, I'll reserve my time.
Okay, Ms. Benally, for 2 minutes and 34 seconds. My colleagues are just asking that we be responsive on ourselves as colleagues. I know this is a stressful situation that we've been put in, but I just ask and remind everyone, let's be respectful in our statements with all due respect. Okay, Mr. Shepherd, you made a point of order, sir. Do you want to talk? Sir? Your point of order, Mr. Shepherd.
everything on hearsay. And it's not on hearsay. That's what I'm trying to put in. They're trying to diminish, me here, where I'm at. This is the legislation that is did. It's yours. It's not mine. And again, it's just more of an attack on what I'm here for. And again, if I have time to respond, I can respond.
Okay, Mr. Shepherd. Point of order, Ms. Benally.
Mr. Speaker, the sponsor had ample time to present his debate. And he did say this is your legislation. As a result, that's my debate. Reserve my time.
Okay. Point of order has been heard. My colleagues, go to the next individual who wants to speak. Council Delegate, Mr. Pete. Leonard Pete.
Speaker Lieutenant Katherine Council sponsor Speaker Naize if this can be decided by the court tomorrow, next week, next month, 6 months, 7 months, or 8 months down the road, I'm talking about the car every day. According to this kid, I want to pose a question to the speaker. Thanks.
Okay, Mr. Pete. Any other questions, staff on the list? Mr. Maryboy, then we'll go ahead and go back to Speaker Mr. Pete's question.
Thank you, Mr. Pro Tem Chair. I know I can't have lots of time. Pretty good up there. I don't know Mr. Shepherd. I don't know Mr. Jericho. I don't need to on this case. I've asked Twitter. The cannot go at this time. I don't want to get a case. Quite about this case to be all the way to Mr. Pete Naize kid. Either those are because of the often called there. With that, I'm still in the issues. But issue, I was there, and then you asked nothing. He's calm with it, I was there, and he's able to know more than anything, now, he does it with that. Issue, he does it. I just read the he gets covered on it. Never read it, I need that, the little issue. That's how that happened. And he's not able to start the last week. I already died, he died. Whenever I asked him, look at that, he's better see. The kid of all of it is and bees down up. Now that was the case at home. And that I see him. I did all need that when I reached him. I was there to read that. Hush it out of it. And I want to be getting everything does. Because your body down once you take your kid or not so. Now you have a one, you have a one to be found. She that I have a she that visions with our ear to say with God or the daughter. But it is seen they don't think I did because they don't end that. I know that it is a boy, this is all. But you see, you better get this things and go, we need it. As children, I see the Asian as long as you know what to eat it. They won't die. Facebook, eat I to the door, you got them and Diego, I get coffee and died mission. Edoyin, and who Ajaban I did. How then she was a gun a lay you and Ashcott, not the other season. Now killed the meat, so I said, be a gitcha. I changed up in the house, when the need out. It was no action by the fish. The down and I made the downs of the Navajo Council. The way the never comes on the okay, that the trees and should nature led on this wood. Now the Friday kind of day, that's what the no, don't even know, can't society so. Okay, the line, a cadet would open the night, they need no one. Although which I was a fancy case evening, I mean that you don't English watches. She don't mention and that. And in a mountain, I don't see it's in the evening, only at it or the day, which is all you know. Now, the start then, based on the door, you get started, now you're sitting over there, and you got these cards. Upon that, and that is the key. They will be neat on the ground and go. They were a secret.
Thank you. Speaker, question that was addressed to you, sir, by Mr. Pete. Addressed to you, sir.
Mr. Speaker, Mr. Pete, Diva, Tinina, Nachit, Alamutlo, Nado, Iskadas, then Nana, the more now still doesn't, not as a that's happening. Nation, the Rams and the Carnage. Joe, you Jolie kiss in the Jonathan, honey, love kid, they need your cradle. The Rams and potentially.
Right. Mr. On questions, Mr. Leonard Sosi.
Thank you, Mr. Pro Tem, members of the council, Mr. Speaker. I was not like Council Delegate. For this I have never said that I was popular on Facebook. Never, 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 never. What your shout out your teach me. This one's under the high shot. I mean, but I don't subscribe to Facebook. I think Facebook is a place where cowardly persons in some dark cave exchange viewpoints with bad information. That's what Facebook is. It's nothing but gossip. And I've never subscribed to it. I saw on Facebook that somebody sent me a copy of it that said that delegates are making $700 per meeting whenever they sponsor something. And it went viral. And I thought, how can people be that lacking in their questions and in their thoughts? And how can they run with falsehood? I've always thought that. It says, Zende Yotakan. Facebook is bit. And I know some of the delegates subscribe to it. But I was thinking though, during the days of Chief Manlito, or Boncito, audience, that needs to Alton Shepherd, that during that time, there were 2/3 votes. And the leadership was done by acclamation.
Berlin Genovitino Hai Aro. Akoko Adiki the Nake Cut. Trukadeti Hataria Karashi Batakan Kaya Katan 2/3 Plani J. Aro Karashi due process Plani J. A lot of this, I used to work at DNA Legal Services. When DNA first began at DNA Kaitan J, and they incorporated this. And now, we talk about this a lot and how we can go back to true Navajo governance, on how we used to do things. But Navajo people are divided now. I see it on almost every media report. Navajo Time was taking a poll, and others. Johnny Naize is coming, and the Speaker knows this. There is a way to do this. Bring the trial up as soon as possible. It can be done. It can be cited that, the stability of the government is at stake. The integrity of the government is at stake. The integrity of Navajo leadership is at stake. To me, those are all good reasons to ask a court of law to bring the trial up, even to next week. But I don't know what your lawyer has told you. I'm pretty sure the lawyer probably advised you said it's better to delay. So, but Naize is coming. And I did it respectfully. But we're still here. And I know this is going to go right into the election. It's going to cause a blemish, all this, whether true or not, a blemish on Navajo governing, all the way to the election and beyond. So this is what frustrates people. I know that in my area that I represent, no one has come to me asking me to vote no on this legislation. But they have talked a lot about their concerns. And I have to look at that as I represent my people, Mr. Speaker. And it's not out of spite, but it's looking at what people are telling me hated.
Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Sosa, thank you. Ms. Katherine Benally, you have 2 minutes and 34 seconds on your reserve time. Do we have any questions? Staff?
Thank you, Mr. Pro-Tem Speaker and members of the council. My last comment would be, if indeed the sponsor and others were really pushing for integrity of the government, with the leadership in them, then why are you selectively persecuting or prosecuting our speaker when in fact the President of the Navajo Nation and Vice President of the Navajo Nation pled guilty on the very first day, that they took oath to lead this nation? Why? That's where you should have started. They pled guilty. So there's nothing integrity about what you're doing. You're selectively going after this individual personally. Thank you.
Okay. All right, my colleagues, there is no more questions that are being requested. We're going to go ahead and call for the questions. Mr. Curley, your question, sir.
Could I make it 5 minutes? Could I get my 5 minutes? People in public, my chapters, and just want to state that for the record. I'm also like Mr. Sosi, to approach to take a position on this, a certain position on this. But I've put my comments on record on this particular issue. And I want to tell the council that I've been thinking about, rethinking my position. I also agree with, on the grounds that we're selected. There are other issues. The integrity of the Navajo Nation is also at stake. And I realize that the things that we're not addressing, we should be addressing as well as this one. I'm talking about Chief Justice. I'm talking about other delegates. Those need to be addressed at the same time as this particular matter. And until I see that council is serious about addressing those abuses of powers as well, I'm not inclined to follow this legislation at one time. I want to ask the Department of Justice some questions. Time that I have a meeting, and I want to continue my comment. Department of Justice, I sought to add an amendment last week, and that was ruled out of order based on the fact that the new laws superseded the laws that I was relying on. The question I have now is, you also wrote some, you wrote a memo citing some laws that we can avail ourselves. And those laws are now also superseded. Okay, now what is other ways? What are the other ways that the speaker can be removed other than what we have, this legislation that we have? We have the election office, we have the courts, as mentioned by Mr. Sosi, we have the ethics laws as well. So how can those laws be utilized, not by us, but those parties who are responsible for enforcing those laws? How can those laws be used to do the same thing? Is there my time?
Okay, Mr. Kelly, we have 2 minutes and 6 seconds left. We have 2 more delegates that want to have to address concerns. So, Ms. Barbara, could you address Mr. Curley's question, please?
Thank you. I'm going to need legislative council's help in that I don't have the legislation number in front of me. I'm hoping she does. But after the memorandum was written, and the memorandum, it was in response to a question from the Shiprock chapter, and they requested how a delegate could be removed or taken off active duty. That is not the exact question here. Taking the speaker out of his council delegate role or putting him on inactive duty as a delegate. As far as removing him solely from the speaker position, that is the responsibility of council. As far as the legislation that was recently passed, that's legislation 0669-14, and what it did, excuse me. The legislation that changed the authorities of the election board. And I will get you a legislation number in just a second. We recently passed it, I would say, probably within the last 2 months. And what that did is it put the responsibility on the supervisors to remove an official if they are convicted of an offense. So that happens almost automatically. That will remove the speaker from his delegate. I hope that answers Delegate Curley's question, and I apologize for not having that legislation in front of me.
Okay, thank you, Bob. Mr. Curley, on your reserved time, 2 minutes and 6 seconds.
Okay. Thank you very much for clarifying here for me. I do want to restate my desires. We're here to clean house. Then we should do it on a wholesale basis. And unless I get the commitment of council that that's what we want to do, exercise our powers to have others answer to the powers that we have, then I think that's only fair. You know, fairness and integrity, the whole integrity. We just can't put out a fire here and let the other part of the house keep burning. I want to address this. I would like to see council address this on a wholesale basis. And if we don't do it now, we're not going to do it. And so I question the integrity and the resolve of council. And Mr. Naize is an easy target. This is the easiest one of all the others. And so I think that, you know, if we really want to, you know, roll up our sleeves and clean house and clean our government, let's do it on a wholesale basis. I want to hear that. I want to see that. If I don't see that commitment from the council, I'm not going to go along with this. We're going to do it for everybody who's violated Navajo Nation law and our rights. So I straight up on this case.
Okay, Mr. Curley, thank you. Mr. Benally and Mr. Weatherspoon. Mr. Begay.
Thank you, Mr. Pro Tem Speaker, and good morning, my colleague, and the people that are here among us and have any interest in our discussion. The staff. First of all, our sponsor. This is a second round that you have presented this legislation here. But in your opening statement, you have said that you present this, but however, this legislation belongs to the council. That's a very interesting comment. And to me, that is self-entertaining. You're entertaining yourself in a way that how this legislation and how the council will debate and how they will fight over this thing and as you watch along. And I think that's a sad side of it. The important thing here would be of sharing my thoughts and my comments and my contributions with this effort of bettering the nation is very important, it's critical as well. Meaning that the way I see this thing here in your area, in your community, you do not have, or your community doesn't encounter any difficulty in a way to improve the life of change. It should never change. My people are in need of many things, of infrastructure to make the household or for the roads to be in a better place. Those are the important things to me. I was hoping that my council and a fellow council member would make a contribution to that effort. That those are critical to us. And if we make the transition with our leadership here, and I think that's something that will jeopardize that effort. Meaning that if we place another a speaker in a position, the whole dynamic and the dimension of the structure of the administration is going to change, which is going to take some time to structure itself and place itself to bring a solidified ground to move forward. Within the time that we have 8 months of our tenure to serve. Within that time frame, with that transition, and that is not going to have a value to the people that are in need of these services. So I think an important thing to say is that we have a court system that handles these things, and it's in the court. As in the previous and other discussions that our colleague Mr. Stokes has said, this item is in the court. So let being as a delegate in the council, let's not move on these things, and let's not handle these things, and let's have our trust in the court. That's it. And I think this is one of those things that is in that phase and that status there. So I think it's an opportunity for the court to provide guidance and due process of what is due to each and every one of the persons and the citizens of this nation. And that is the foundation of the freedom and also what is bestowed upon us as the citizens of this nation. So I think it's important to enlighten ourselves on some of the values that is bestowed upon us and to move forward to bring a better value and bring a better livelihood to our community members. One of the items that it brings into light is our friend from Shiprock, Samuel Pete, has put out a very valuable and a sound suggestion in how the council should structure itself and move itself in a way to address the needs of the nations. And I think those type of valued citizens that are out there that would like to see and have this council make the difference. So if it would be a good reminder if we would give those type of wisdom and wise individuals that would like to be a part of it as they voice their concerns and give them the opportunity, and that should be part of our daily activities and our thoughts on these matters here. So, Mr. Pro Tem Speaker, I'd like to thank you for my thoughts in this discussion as well.
Mr. Witness,